Hey guys, what's up? This is JT and welcome back to the Let's Grow podcast. This is episode 19. I'm hanging out with one of my dear friends, and not just a friend, but also a mentor. Actually served as a father figure for me for a number of years when I lived in the same town that he currently lives in. And his name is DC Clement. He hails from Bowling Green, Kentucky, but you'll learn a little bit more about his background, what he does, what he stands for. But guys, I'm excited. Of course, as always, we want to leave you better than we found you. We hope that you find some inspiration, some motivation, some encouragement, and that the time that you spend with us listening to this episode is valuable for you and the people around you. So that being said, DC, my man, thanks for joining me.
Man, JT, it's good to catch up with you. We hadn't seen each other in a while, so it's always good to reconnect with old friends. And for me, just really proud of seeing how you've progressed in your life, in your career, and how much that you've dedicated yourself to helping others, get their dreams, achieve their dreams, and it's great to do this. I'm happy to have a few minutes to talk with you, and just good being around you again, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks so much for the kind words. And I definitely need to make it back over to Bowling Green soon and hang out with you, spend some time with you. Some of my fondest memories when I was living in Bowling Green from '09 to 2016 was hanging out in your office and
Hmm.
just talking about life, talking about business, talking about coaching, talking about dreams and goals. And that kind of segues into a lot of the things that I want to talk about today. And folks, I want you to know this before we get started. You know, uh, I believe everyone needs a couple of folks in their corner that, although when they make some decisions, they may say, man, I don't know if that's a great decision or not, but listen, I believe in you and I support you. And I want you to know that that's exactly what happened for me with DC some time ago when I made a decision and I made a transition in my life. He was one of those positive voices in my life that said, listen, hey, let's make sure we think about making a calculated risk, but at the same time, I believe in you. And if there's anyone that can make it happen, and if there's anyone who wants to see you win, it's me. And so I credit a lot of my growth at that stage of my life. And we may share a few more details about that. I credit a lot of my growth at that stage of life to a lot of encouragement and support that I got from DC. So thank you so much for being there, man, for supporting me. It means more to me, publicly to say this, on a podcast that other people listen to. It means more to me than you could ever imagine to know that I had you in my corner and still do to this day. But tell folks, DC, how you and I are connected by way of basketball and college athletics.
Um, so JT is from Campbellsville, Kentucky, which is somewhere in the north central, or I guess south central part of Kentucky. Um, and JT played point guard at Campbellsville University. And I have two sons that actually came behind him at Campbellsville University, and both of them are point guards. And my youngest son is actually still there coaching now. So really, CU is kind of the mesh point that we all had together. And then um, when JT moved here to Bowling Green and was involved in coaching and things, he and I got to spend some time together and things. And so we've been around each other. I don't know how many years now? 10,
Yeah, it's
12,
definitely
like
been
that.
upwards. It's definitely been upwards of a decade for sure.
Yeah. So he's kind of like a little brother to me, and I'm really proud of what all he's done and he's accomplished, and man, he continued to do big things, to do great things, and his future is unlimited. So, I'm one of the gray-haired guys now, so it always it always does my heart good to see a young man that's doing what he wants to do in life, and being able to fulfill that dream, because not everybody gets to do what they want to do for a living, and really have a purpose life, a purpose driven life. So man, happy for you, man. I'm just proud of you, and your beautiful wife and the little man, and got a great family and a great future. So definitely, definitely good to be here with you.
Thank you, kind sir. So, DC, talking about purpose-driven life, talking about doing what you love for a living. Share with everyone, how long have you been in the insurance game, and how long have you been there in Bowling Green building a business?
I started with State Farm as a claim rep in 1989 and had various jobs with the company, but an opportunity came about in 1998 for me to go into an agency training program, which would allow me to be a business owner. And no one in my family had ever owned a business. We weren't entrepreneurs and things like that. So, it was really a big daunting task for me. And January 1st, 1999, I started my State Farm agency here in Bowling Green. We've been here ever since. Well, this is our third physical office, but been doing this ever since. And, you know, it, it's not perfect, but I love what I do because it's an opportunity for me to help people. It's an opportunity for me to give back. I mean, I've been able to give back so much to my community and to the young people in my community, both with time and with money and resources and things like that. So um, more than I ever could imagine. I've been blessed beyond belief in what I've been able to do for the past 20 something years, owning my own business.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that because something that, folks listening and watching, something that drew me to DC and some things about him and the way that he conducted business that I wanted to emulate in my life was using the influence that you've been given wherever you are, whatever you're doing, to positively impact the people around you. And the more I got to know DC and the more I got to learn about his business and the integrity and the character and the class that he operated with, I started to see that this is someone who really believes in making a difference to the work that they have. And so real quick before we segue, DC, talk a little bit about what it looks like or why it's important to focus on people in order to be fulfilled in your work.
I truly believe in a few things, and number one is to whom much is given, much is required. And I just believe that I've been blessed with this opportunity, and I was blessed for a reason, and I have a duty and a responsibility to give back, and I always believe in throwing that rope back, and for me, honestly and truly, I can't explain to you how proud I am of you and a lot of other young men because you know just to have a part in your success, even a small part, um, to me that's amazing. I'm so proud of that, and I'm so happy with that because you're destined for great things. I've got other young men that, man, I see these guys are they're bankers, they're lawyers. I've got another young man that I coached, and I think back to I coached him in sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth grade, and he was one of my biggest knucklehead kids, and he and I used to bang heads, but there was always something about him that drew me to him. Well, the young man just opened up his dentistry practice here in Bowling Green.
Wow.
And it's, he's got a wife who's a dentist, who's his partner. They've got two young sons. And, every time I see him, I tell stories about him when, just when he and I were bang heads. And the thing was, he told me one day, he said, you believing in me and never quitting on me is a big reason where I'm at. So, you know, like I said, I'm one of them graybeards now. And, so to see, you and folks like Dr. Hayes and people like that and, where they are in their life, the only thing I always tell guys is always throw that rope back because it takes all of us to help and pull somebody, along. And you never know that, you and the kindness that you may show to somebody else, to help you may get to somebody else, you have no idea what that means in their life. And they don't know at that time. But it's so fulfilling to see it. So that's really where my whole philosophy on helping people and doing what I can comes from.
Totally. And I appreciate you sharing those stories. And again, I appreciate the kind words. And, you know, I truly do believe that the older I get, the more I see that if your focus isn't on people, then naturally you're just not going to be as fulfilled in your work. And the reason is because as we're designed, we are built for community. We are relational creatures. Like God designed us to influence the lives of the people around us for the better. And there's something that happens inside of you whenever you put your focus on that isn't, you know, it's not tangible always, you know, I've seen the efforts that you have extended and the helping hand that you've extended. And you talking about throwing the rope back. That's not a deal where the boomerang comes back around and it's a monetary thing that goes back in your pocket where you're blessed because of what you did. It reciprocates itself in other avenues of life, but helping other people is the name of the game, I think, if you want to be the best version of yourself in the work that you do. And speaking of that, who have been some mentors and sources of inspiration in your life, you know, in your journey to be a successful business person and, you know, a highly skilled and qualified insurance agent who's received recognition and rewards, you know, inside of the State Farm camp? Who served as an inspiration for you, DC?
You know, I always a practice to learn from every situation, every person that I come in contact with, good or bad. So, you know, I've worked for people that weren't very good management, they weren't very good bosses, and I learned things that I didn't want to do. I've learned things that I did want to do, but there was a gentleman named Ross Spielman, and Mr. Spielman is the guy that kind of got me involved with State Farm. And when I was coaching basketball back in the 80s at Middle Tennessee State, I used to give his son basketball lessons. And, you know, it wasn't a monetary thing or anything. His son was one of our ball boys, so he was always around. He was a gym rat. And, you know, so I loved being in the gym with him and spend time with him. So when it came time for me to get out of coaching, I needed to do something different in my life. He helped me get on with State Farm, and he was an executive with State Farm. And you know, he told me something when I first met him, and to this very day, he's in his 80s right now. He's been retired for probably 15 years. He still writes me a handwritten note 3 to 4 times a year, just to check on me. But he always told me 3 things. He said, you know, always listen to your boss, keep a great attitude, work hard, and be coachable. And, you know, something I've said that to my kids. I said it to to the people I've coached. I said it to the people that work for me. And Ross really and truly is probably been the biggest mentor and influence. And it's crazy that, you know, I look forward to it 3 or 4 times a year. I get a handwritten note from him. And, you know, it's just, the man hadn't worked for State Farm in forever, but he still, you know, reaches out. But there's people that I've worked with, that I've learned so many things, and just understanding that everything is about relationships for me. And, you know, writing handwritten notes. People are asking, why do you still write handwritten notes and cards? And, you know, to me, when I get one, it means something that you sat down and took time to write a note out or write a card out. So I do that to people, and I hope that the people understand that means that they're special to me. And you know, I saw on Facebook where, you know, it was your birthday, and, you know, I could have put it on there like 200 other people, but I texted you because I wanted you to know that I was thinking about you, and I wanted to tell you happy birthday. And see, I've learned those things over the years, because those are those relational type things, and those personal touch type things. What, you know what? Everybody doesn't do that. And you know, to some people, it may not matter, but I think to you and to others like you, it does matter. So that for me, you know, that those are the type of things that are important to me, and just the relationships that I have with people are special. Um, it's helped me be successful, and we've had tremendous success, and we've been blessed beyond belief in our business. But it's because we do things the right way, we treat people the right way, and it's not just about money and trophies and awards and things like that.
You guys, listen, DC he's speaking truth here, and he's dropping some wisdom that is priceless, because I noticed when I got around him, I began to pick up on those little things, those little personal touches that he made in his business with his customers, with his friends, with his family members. And I began to implement that in my business. In DC, I've gotten so many compliments through the years of following up with people with a quick little video message to say hello, with a handwritten note after a coffee meeting, whenever they agreed to sit down with me and I asked them some questions because I wanted to learn from them, or sending them a book, giving them a gifting a book, as this book that I have that DC gifted to me with a handwritten note in it. And
Wow.
it sits on my shelf. And one of the things that stood out to me, even in the preface, it's a book from John C. Maxwell, The Right to Lead. And one of the things it says here on the beginning here, it says, make adding value your goal, and I never forgot that. And so personal touches are a really big deal. And to know that you learned that from Mr. Spielman and you've passed that down to other folks as well, that's really good stuff. Speaking of him being there to help you transition in your career, you were there as a source of inspiration and encouragement when I transitioned. I remember sitting in your office. I came to you one day and I said, DC, I'm done teaching and coaching. And I remember the look on your face was like, say what? and, and it's because, and part of it was because of the path that I was taking at that time in building a home-based business and kind of the future being uncertain. But I had this fire in my belly that I wanted to make it happen. But talk a little bit about that conversation that day and what went through your mind and how crazy you thought I was.
I swear, I can remember it like it was yesterday. You know, you were really, really starting to hit your stride as a coach, as a high school basketball coach. Well thought of, man. You're well thought of as a teacher. And I just was looking, and man, the future was bright, and things were starting to happen. And I'll never forget, you came to me and said, I'm getting out of teaching and coaching. And I did give you that look like, have you lost your mind? And the more you talked about it, and I kept trying to talk you out of it, I don't know if you remember, it's about 20 minutes into it, everything within me changed, really, because I was sitting there almost having a conversation with myself in my head. And I remember that when I decided to leave the comfort of a job in operations, where I had a guaranteed salary, I had benefits and all of this. I'm married, I got 3 kids, I got a mortgage note, and I decided to take a left turn and start my own agency. There was no guarantees of anything. I remember having that conversation with my 2 older brothers, and both of them like, are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? And I remember the conversation, and at that very moment, that's kind of when it came across to me to like, you know what? He's really serious about this. He has really thought this over, and I think I asked you 5 or 6 times, are you sure that you know what you're doing? Are you sure that that this is what you want to do? And I could see in your heart and in your eyes that, number one, you'd already made up your mind, but number two, that it wasn't a rash decision. It wasn't a spur of the moment decision. It was something that you had thought about. You had weighed the pros and cons of it, and that you had decided that you wanted the purpose of your life and the direction of your life to be different. And how can you not respect that? I mean, for me, I had to kind of step back because I was kind of being that big brother, dad type thing going, hey, now you leaving money and you going somewhere where we don't know if there's money, but it's more than about money. And it's just, um, there's so few people to get a chance to do what they truly want to do, to live their passion, to live their dream, for a living. And there's some bumps in the road. And I know you had some bumps in the road, and you and I, we've talked about it. And I know you had to scratch and claw, and you made some sacrifices that a lot of people don't know. It hadn't always been, where you are now. So that's why I had such a great respect for what you've done. And how many books you written now? 3?
Yes, sir.
You know, uh, to write 3 books, and I'm gonna show them because it stays right here. This is his first one, and he did he signed it for me and put a little note in there for me. Look, there's the note. He put a little note in there for me, and I'd read this thing often, because it's so inspirational, so motivational. My team has them. I give these out to people. My kids all have this, and so for you to have written 3 books, and Tony, how many people you've spoken to around this country, and how many young people, students that you've spoken to, um, man, that's a beautiful thing. And I mean, you're touching people's lives in ways that you can't even imagine. And so for me, it's humbling to have been a part of that. But it's been a good ride, man. It's fun watching you.
Thank you, sir. And DC's telling the absolute truth that there were some follow-up conversations that were tough. There were a couple times whenever I just needed a vent, where I said, "Hey, I just need to stop by, share with you what's going on, shed a few tears." But that's everyone needs that kind of support system in their life. Switching gears real quick, DC. Growing, and this, well, not necessarily switching gears, but this kind of segues into, something that I appreciate and admire about you. And when you think about the nature of this podcast and encouraging people to grow, you and I were having a conversation before we hit the record button, and you and I both agree and believe wholeheartedly that you can't grow right from your comfort zone.
Right.
And so you were well on into your career before you decided to re-up, in a sense, and purchase a new office space and take your personal brand to the next level and create something even more special for your team, your employees, your customers. So talk about what it looks like to take risk and to grow as a person, and why that's necessary.
I think when you're in business, or not even in business, but for yourself or whatever, when you lose the opportunity, or when you think that you can't learn anymore or grow anymore, that's when you become stagnant and you start going backwards. That's why I read books all the time. I read books not only on the insurance part and the selling part, but on how to be a leader, how to be a better leader, how to be a better person. And so I'm constantly trying to get better. But 5.5 years ago, it's been almost 6 years ago now. I made a move, and it was a huge move. I was in a smaller office, had kind of gotten used to what that cost every month. Had money I saved, and I got presented with an opportunity to build really my dream office. And that was scary because, I was 15, 16 years in. I was pretty much in that low comfort zone, and I was going to be fine, but I wasn't growing there. I'd kind of gotten in a rut, and I needed to challenge and push myself. I had to get out of that comfort zone. So, made the move and purchased this this spot and cleaned out my entire savings to do it. Uh, changed my I doubled my monthly mortgage. Well, from what went to mortgage, I doubled it, and that's scary because you sit there and you think, am I going to, I'm going to have to write basically twice what I was writing to make this work. And so I took the leap of faith. I did it because, I needed to practice what I preach. And I preach that all the time, that you can't grow while you're in your comfort zone. You got to be uncomfortable. You got to get out, you got to push and drive yourself. And I did that. And I think that's important. The only way you can grow is to challenge yourself, and others can't do that for you. I truly believe that others can't motivate you. They can help put different things in place, but only you can motivate you. Only you can push yourself to grow and to get better. And it's not an age thing, man. I'm almost 60, so I can just tell you it's not an age thing. It's scarier when you're older, because I don't have that energy that I had 25 years ago. But I still have a passion to be good. I still have a passion to be great. I still have a passion to be successful and to do more than I did the year before, the month before. So as long as I had that passion, I'll continue to grow and get out of that comfort zone.
And I love that mindset, DC, because it's that kind of mindset that provides a great example for your children, right? Your family, for your community, for the people that you employ, for your clientele. And I can remember having that same conversation with myself. You talking about, I got to practice what I preach. And I felt like whenever I was in the classroom and I was challenging kids to become the best version of themselves and to pursue their passion, and they could live out their dreams, I almost felt like a hypocrite at times because I felt like I wasn't doing that very thing, and it's kind of crazy that when I did step out of the classroom, I went back into the classroom and I was still teaching and coaching, just at a different capacity, not in the public education sector. But I felt like I earned, credibility and respect from them that I didn't have, because now they actually saw me doing what I was challenging them to do,
Exactly.
And speaking of family, providing a great example for your kids, before we work to close down, DC, talk about work-life balance. For everybody, that's a struggle. There never is a true balance, right? You got to make sacrifices here. You got to make sacrifices there. There's certain seasons where you can be a little bit more present. But how is that something that you've managed through the years?
Wow. It depends on who you ask. If you were to go ask my wife would say he has handled it poorly. Um, uh, something, it's crazy that you asked me that, because a good friend of mine, and he stays on me. He's a State Farm agent in Nashville, and he's a health guru, and he really stays on me because I'm a workaholic, and I've always been that way. And sometimes I wish I wasn't wired that way, but you are wired that way.
Sure.
And for me, I can tell you, I hate losing more than I like winning. And it's sometimes it's a miserable way to be wired. And I heard Bill Belichick say that one time, and I'm like, that's me. That's exactly who I am. Like, I expect to win, and I work hard to win, and I prepare to win, but I expect it. So when it happens, I expect it. But losing for me and not being successful for me, man, I'm gonna tell you what, I'm miserable. So I've gotten better. I really have gotten better. When I first started, man, I worked 6, 7 days a week. I was working 70 and 80 hours a week. And I was putting a lot of things like my health, my family on the back burner. And I've gotten better. And you can ask Keita, my wife. We've been married 30 years now. So I've gotten better. with it. But I think it's important, man. And I tell you, I really talk to my kids about this. I talk to the people that are working here with me. I got 5 people that work with me, and they're all either 26, 27. I got one 31-year-old. So I got nothing but kids that are working here with me. I don't, and if I'm offending some of your younger viewers, I apologize. But 30 to me is a kid. But I talk to them about making sure that they have a balance, and that they do, don't put everything on the back burner from a bit for your business. Because you know what, you'll figure out you're expendable, and I know how things work. Even though I own this agency, God forbid if something would happen to me, in 30 days State Farm would have somebody sitting in a chair. And so, the people that you're really important to, your family, your friends, your loved ones, you got to be a little selfish with your time for them, and really try to focus on that balance. And it's tough. It's hard, because it's hard to be successful if you don't work hard and outwork people. But as you get older, you'll start to see the things that are important now, maybe 15, 20 years ago weren't as important. But take it from me, learn early. You'll save yourself a lot of cold dinners and bad stares and things. So definitely learn as early as you can to have that balance of work and life and family. Take care of your health. Most importantly, take care of your health. I mean, your health is your wealth.
Totally.
Because if you're here, then it doesn't matter.
Totally. Well, I appreciate that wisdom, and and I'll never ever be offended by someone telling me that they think I'm a kid, because I just hit the 36-year mark, and Jayla is 29, and I'm telling her to hurry up and hit 30 so I don't feel so old. But but congratulations on 30 years with your lovely wife, and Jayla and I will be celebrating 5 years this weekend.
Wow.
So I may need to reach out to you occasionally and be reminded on what the secret to success is for 30 years of marriage. But as we work to close down, DC, it's been a challenging year. Let's make no mistake about it. It's been a challenging year for a lot of people on a number of different fronts, whether it be from a health perspective because of the COVID pandemic, the economic impact that it's made on small businesses. There's been a lot of polarizing conversations because of, race relations and police reform. And it just seems like no matter what happens, people are looking for an opportunity to be more degrading and divisive. So how personally have you stayed positive during this time, and with so much happening around us, the election, all these different things that are in play? How have you stayed positive, DC?
Obviously, my faith is very important, but man, I'm telling you, you're right. This has been the oddest and most challenging year of my entire life. Trying to run a business in this has been beyond challenging. And especially business that you deal with the public. And just how do we open up, and how many people do we let in, and you got to wear a mask, and we take your temperature, and you got to sanitize your hands, and that responsibility for me of keeping all my team members here healthy, because I've got team members here that have spouses, I got team members here that have children, I got team members here that are caretakers for their parents. So every day has been a challenge, and then making sure that my policyholders, that they're safe and when they come in, and then society has gotten so, I'm trying to think of a good word. Society has gotten too at ease and too accepting of people not having decorum and common decency.
Yeah.
And that's what's missing in this world. And I think You put something on Facebook the other day that said you don't have to be a part of every argument, and that hit me because it's what I'm saying is we have gotten away from just common decency. We've gotten away from decorum, and we can disagree on things. I mean, you and I don't agree on every single topic, but I would never demean you as a human being and call you a name as a human being because you have a different viewpoint than I do. I mean, I have clients that they have different political viewpoints than I do, different religious viewpoints than I do. But what we've lost in this society now, I think social media has a lot to do with it. People get much braver behind a keyboard. And, in the past, we would talk to one another. And you're a lot less likely to say some of the things that people say on social media to somebody's face or even on the phone. And I think we just need to dialogue with people more. We need, folks need to talk more and understand, man, we all in this thing together. And have a respect, for someone just as a human being, have respect for someone and respect their opinions. Their opinions may be different. I don't agree with my wife on everything. I don't agree with myself on everything some days. But, you have to show that respect and that decorum and that decency. And man, it's so good to see, people like you who are out preaching that, and being positive and staying positive because Lord knows, man, there's so much negativity in this world right now. We need positivity. And that's, we got to get back to that a little bit.
Yeah, and I like how you close that down with there's plenty of negativity everywhere you turn. There's enough of it going around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you want to be a difference maker, here it's not hard. Like treat people with respect,
Exactly.
Exercise some patience, some kindness, understand that other people are going through difficult things and fighting tough battles just like you are, and everybody just simply wants to be respected and valued and appreciated. And so a lot of times I think from a positivity perspective, though, DC, people think that positivity is this fluffy stuff that you're just looking for the best and hoping for the best in every situation. And while part of that may be true, the reality is that positivity is challenging. It's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking at the reality and saying, although these circumstances are less than ideal, or maybe I don't like this situation, or maybe I'm at odds with this person, but I can still choose my attitude and my energy and my effort despite what's happening around me. That what's happening around me doesn't have to determine what happens in me.
Exactly.
And I really hope people begin to understand that, sooner than later, because if not, goodness gracious, who knows what kind of conversations people are going to be having closer to November 4th. But all that being said, DC, I can't thank you enough for who you are, the heart that you have for people, the example that you provided for me, the friendship that you've extended to me. And your time hanging out with me today on this podcast. I know people are going to be blessed by it. There's so many stories we could share. There's so much we could talk about. Man, we could stay on here all day long, but of course,
no doubt.
But of course, there needs to be a work-life balance so you don't get in trouble with Keita.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Diehard Titans fan here,
yeah,
DC,
yeah.
And we've enjoyed some football conversations as well. So DC, listen, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Any closing thoughts you have?
Man, I just want to thank you for the opportunity. But I just want you to know, I want your viewers to know, man, how truly proud I am of you and the work that you're doing. Can't say it enough. It's kind of like a proud papa watching from afar. You've done great things. You continue to do great things, and I just, your ceiling is not to be seen. So you know the sky's the limit for you. I truly think that you know you're going to keep doing great things in this society, and I just can't wait to see what happens next for you. Waiting for your next book. Don't know if you started writing it yet, but you got three and you got some more. So, man, again, proud of you. Keep doing what you do. Congrats on the fifth wedding anniversary. Um, Tell your lovely wife I said hello, and man, take care of little man. He's got a good set of parents, and just happy to be here with you, brother. So God bless you. Thank you, and keep doing what you do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Guys, that is a wrap. Episode 19 with my friend DC Clement. We talked about taking risk and growing in business and in life. I know you guys have got some value from this. Remember, as we close down, share this with a friend or family member if you got some value from it. And as always, remember, don't just go through life, grow through life. And everybody can encourage somebody. We will see you next time.